like there's no tomorrow.
Welcome to the BingKing podcast.
How do you usually start these things?
I just go.
You just go.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, Arthur. My first question to you, because I know you're very good at asking questions.
Yeah.
My first question to you is.
You know, I'm the interviewer, right?
I know you're the interviewer,
yeah, okay,
right?
yeah, let's
but
go.
I'm just trying. That's what I'm saying. Is like I
Yeah.
don't know how many people ask you these type of questions because it's always you
Not a
asking
lot.
people the questions.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Go.
If you were to explain Magic the Gathering to someone who knows absolutely nothing
Mm-hmm.
about Magic the Gathering, how would you give a very basic summary or introduction to it?
Magic is where two wizards are casting spells at each other and trying to kill each other.
Okay.
The issue is Magic has now turned into a multiplayer game more than it is a 1v1 game.
Okay.
And so it's gone from like a me trying to kill you into a more political game. And so now the most common way to play Magic is 4-player.
Okay.
And 4-player free-for-all.
Okay.
So then it becomes political where this wizard has to team up with that wizard to beat the guy that's kind of winning.
Okay.
But also eventually stab him in the back.
Okay.
And then try to win.
And they do that via the modem of cards.
Correct.
Right? Okay. And every card is like a spell.
A spell,
or like
a creature that'll come and beat you in the face, or like a lightning bolt or fireball that'll
Okay.
get you. Maybe it'll make my creature bigger, stuff like
Okay.
that.
How did you start Magic the Gathering?
Fucking when we were kids.
Is there like a moment that you...
Yeah.
that-
I had a friend named Michael Doherty
Okay.
that introduced it to me.
Okay.
And we used to go to this place called Boyhood Dreams. And it was just a local card shop. And we would go there, buy cards. They were all too expensive.
Okay.
In hindsight, they were not as expensive as they are now.
Yeah.
But we would go and play all the time.
When you walked into that card shop with Michael, what is that feeling that you had that made you think like, oh yeah, this is why I want to do it? Because I feel like if you walk in as a kid,
yeah.
and even when you gave that summary of what Magic the Gathering is, I'm kind of fucking lost, right? Like, because it seems like a complicated game. So then even as a kid, when you don't really understand that, there must have been something else.
The art.
The art, right?
Yeah, the art on the cards.
The art on the cards?
Yeah.
And is there like a lore to it as well that you can kind of...
It's
just
nowhere near. That's what Warhammer does better than Magic.
Sure.
By miles. Is that there is story in Magic the Gathering. Nobody knows it.
Sure.
And I mean, there are those lore people that kind of know it. But most people play the game because the mechanics are so sound.
Okay.
Like, I put down a land each turn if I have it in my hand. And those lands power my spells.
Sure.
Great. But the mechanics are so sound that you can kind of put whatever lore you want on it. But the real, like, gamer people that spend time kind of trying to figure out the puzzles, those are the people that are getting into Magic. Okay. I think the ones that kind of like maybe the art or the IP, we'll get into like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, stuff like that.
Okay.
They're simpler games.
Yeah.
But Magic gets so complicated
Sure.
that you're just like, how do I figure this thing out? Like, he's thrown 2 lightning bolts at me. I have a counter spell in my hand. Maybe I can draw into something. I have 60 cards in the deck. How many answers do I have in this deck? How many cards do I need to draw to get to a potential answer?
It's like opportunity cost as well, right? You do one thing and then that's you burn one option for doing. Okay.
And so it gets really complicated in your head. And people like that. Like,
Sure. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I used to play Hearthstone a little bit.
yeah.
Like
So Hearthstone is like a slightly
Simpler?
game. Actually, it's a lot simpler.
Okay, cool.
Because nothing happens at instant speed, which means I can't play things on your turn. I play everything on my turn. You play everything on your turn. But in Magic, I can play things on your turn. And
okay.
so you do something, and I'm like, nah, you can't do that. And I'm going to react to your thing. You throw down a creature, and I'm like, nope, I'm going to throw a fireball at it.
Okay. So it's very like reactionary and actionary and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Okay. And what's the community like for
Now?
Magic? No,
Or
I mean
when I
when
was a
you
kid?
first started off, because I'm trying to think like if I'm a young Arthur King walking around, right, and I first see these arts that I'm like, that's fucking incredible.
Right.
It's the same as me with Warhammer, like
Yeah.
40K, right?
I was going to say, it's very similar to what you were like probably when you were a kid.
Exactly the same. But I think one of the other things that entices you into these type of things is like community, having friends, and then sitting down like in these like your friend's house or with a group of people playing this and figuring out all the rules. Is like when did that become a thing?
It was never a thing. Actually, it's never a thing until I got to Shanghai, believe it or
Really?
not. I've been playing
shit.
20 plus years, and it was mostly one-on-one with 2 or 3 friends.
Oh,
or like
shit.
That's it. Just
So you're hardcore into
kitchen
it.
table.
Yeah.
We would play like just no. I wasn't hardcore. Like I was actually very casual for the majority of my Magic career, and then I came to Shanghai, and these guys were playing this new way of playing the game. When I got back into it, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And then I found my community here.
Yeah.
But at home, it was just me and a couple friends, because I went to the local game shop.
Okay.
And I played draft, which you understand, right? You kind of, everyone passes around packs and chooses cards from the pack, and then draft is the worst way to introduce a new player
Okay.
because it is so skill intensive.
Yes.
You need to understand the full set. You need to understand the interactions with the cards. And as a 11-year-old at the time, I just got hammered by all of these like really good players at the local game shop, and I was like, I'm never playing again.
Yeah, this sucks.
Like,
where's the
why
fun
am I
in it?
doing
Yeah.
this?
It's like doing jujitsu and just getting
Hammered.
pounded
Yeah.
all the time
All
with
the time.
no respite whatsoever. Yeah. Okay.
And no one kind of let you do your thing. I was just sitting there like, why is this terrible
Why is
game?
this happening
Why am
to
I
me?
playing this? Yeah. It's exactly like the first couple of days of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm never playing with these people again.
Yeah.
And then I went back to go play with my like family or
Sure.
like my friends at home.
And then you're destroying them all, right?
No, even at home, it was kind of like even playing field.
Okay.
So it was okay.
Okay.
But at the game shop, they were just these big, and I remember they were big, they were kind of smelly.
Yeah.
Like it was the classic nerd.
And that's the egos as well, right?
Yeah.
This is their new domain. Maybe
That's
in the
their
outside
area.
world, you know, like they're not treated so well and whatever.
Yep.
But then when you go in the magic shop, like,
That's-
motherfucker,
yeah,
this is my
place.
kingdom.
Yeah.
I'm going to destroy you.
Correct.
Same as jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're in there in that sort of ring, egos comes into play.
Yeah.
Egos comes into play. You always have someone who wants to show they are the best.
Right.
Right.
How's it like for you with Warhammer?
So very similar to you, but I would say that actually I have never played a real game of Warhammer in
Okay.
the sense that you have the points, you have the rule book.
Okay.
For people who don't know, like Warhammer, it's like these small little miniatures
Yeah.
that comes in a box with all the separate different pieces, and essentially what you would do is you would glue like this
Yeah.
character's arms together, his helmet, you'd paint it all to have your own paint color scheme. So there's like the art aspect of
Right.
it, right? And then the second aspect is the lore.
Right.
So you'd have these like nerds back in the 90s writing these like, I mean, you've seen some of the videos
Yeah.
and stuff, these literally history books
Yep.
on these made up characters.
Wild.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
as like a fantasy lover like myself, like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, I just, as a kid, I loved that. Like any way to sort of escape from the mundane, going to school, all this type of shit, and you're just like, oh, what? There's like a fucking space galaxy out there with aliens fighting each other.
Yeah.
Yes, sign me up.
Right.
So that's the second aspect. Third aspect is like the competitive gaming. So you would buy a book which basically says, okay, this group of characters can do X, Y, and Z.
Correct.
It costs X amount of points that you roll a dice for. I was never really into that.
Okay.
Because it was a lot like you said, it's like sweaty, kind of nerdy people just destroying little kids.
Yeah.
And in like the workshop, or like the games workshop is what these places were called.
Correct.
Where they sell things. So for me, it was literally very similar to you. It was a love of the art, a love of the lore, and you would go with a bunch of buddies and you would just paint your own stuff, and then you would just like pretend to play with each other. Like
Right.
you'd be like, oh shit, my Chaos Space Marines, like my World Eater is against like your Tau and shit.
Right.
And you would just fucking play and like, oh no, my fucking guy got you, and you're like,
Yeah.
ah no, he didn't. So again, it was more so
Yeah.
like that, and I think, as we've said before, with Warhammer, it's so expanding, like the universe.
It's
like
crazy.
and it's continuously expanding.
Yeah.
So if you really like that, you can continue to read it. You can listen to YouTube videos. You can play games. There's
Yeah.
the new like the Warhammer Space Marine game that's coming out. So if you're into that type of universe, it's like a never-ending cycle, which is why I kind of like it, but it's also very dangerous.
But there's like this tier list, right? Who's like a bigger fan, right?
Of course.
And in Magic, it's the same way. Like in Magic, there are ways to play the game, and there are levels. Like you can be a pro at Magic or whatever. But the old school players play like legacy format and like modern format, and then there's Pioneer, and then there's the casual players that are playing this type of game called EDH, which is the more multiplayer game.
Okay.
And then there's like this tier list, like, oh, I'm a legacy player. I'm quote better than you. Like I'm sure there's the exact same thing in Warhammer, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's the exact same thing everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's the egos. For Warhammer, it's like, how well is your army painted?
Yeah.
Oh, what, your army's like not use 15 different color schemes? Like, oh, fuck you then. And then again, you have competitions of people who is the best painted army.
That's crazy.
Which is, I mean, it's not crazy because it encourages excellence and perfection, if that's even a thing. But like some of these like painting skills of these like Space Marines or whatever army you're collecting is incredible. It's a work of art. And I think that you can have that, or you could, but it wouldn't be as common if you had a competition to see who the best is. But I think where the problem is you can have competition to be the best and for the love of the art, for what you produce. But I don't think you should be doing that for a sense of ego, right? To say I am the best, I'm better than all of you, and you'll never do it. Do it because the fucking Space Marine you painted is
looks awesome.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have an artist painting a beautiful painting that's like absolutely stunning, world renowned, and then saying, fuck you guys, I am the best, this painting is the best, and no one will ever compete with that. No, you do it because you want people to see it and be like, okay, that's a work of art. Same as jiu-jitsu, right? People that do it to be like the world champion and the best and stuff like that is, of course, there are places for people like that, and it does increase the sport. But in my personal opinion, the true champions are the ones for the love of the sport. They want to do just beautiful jiu-jitsu, and they want to win and showcase how amazing their technique and their skill is as like an art form.
So who do you like when you watch jiu-jitsu? Do you still watch jiu-jitsu?
Dude, it's been a long time. I had to kind of take a hot second off of
reel back a little bit.
Yeah. I think back in the day, Gordon Ryan was always good to watch because he had the perfect blend of just technically almost perfect jiu-jitsu,
Right.
but also like the ego to be like, guys, I'm the fucking
I'm the best.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's where the two, what I said with like the art, right? Like that's where they kind of blend in a little bit with that guy. I think that with polarizing figures like that, you obviously either love them or they hate him. I think that for me, I love him. I think he's such a character and is super, super good. But other ones where it's like more exciting, like Gary Tonin, the Rotolo brothers, like even like Joseph, like when you watched him like train over here,
He's amazing.
but it's just like, again, someone like that is, especially watching them building up to where they are now, is, you know, they're going to be good.
Yeah.
So you're watching them and you're just like, this, what he's doing right now is going to be like a part of like
Huge when
jiu-jitsu
he's-
history. And it's just so beautiful to watch artists doing art.
Yeah.
Whether it's music, whether that's like a podcast, entertainment,
Yeah.
right? It's just fun to watch people have fun.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't watch a lot of jiu-jitsu, just like I don't watch a lot of climbing. Like, I think it's just more fun to do it. I'm always, like, everyone that watches competition, I'm like, well, how much does this really benefit you? I'm sure it benefits a little bit, but, like, why not just focus on what you're doing right now? You know, I don't know. Like, I have a lot of friends that will just, oh, the new Who's Number One is out now. I want to go watch and see what moves are killing it. But that's not part of your game. Like, you're kind of doing it this way. They're doing it this way. I get influence. I get that you want to be inspired by this. But, like, you're also kind of doing it right here at this level.
They're up
Does
there.
it really make a difference that you've watched this? Like, why not just focus on what your coach is teaching you, or like what you're kind of working on right now? I don't know. I've never been the guy to be like, I want to watch all the competitions. I want to know what the best, win rates are for whatever move. It just never clicked with me.
I get you. I definitely think it's a personal side of things as well.
Yeah.
Because look at someone like Joseph.
Yeah.
He got very good by doing just
doing
that,
yeah.
right? Like watching all these YouTube videos,
Yeah.
watching all like the live games and
Correct.
stuff. So yeah, I think it's like what we were talking earlier before the podcast. Like, what's the goal?
Yeah.
Is the goal to be the best in the world? If so, then you're going to have to sacrifice and do a lot of this homework.
100%.
If your goal is just to have fun, then you don't really.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't really need to do that. Just go out with your buddies and have
Yeah.
fun. But going back to what you said, one thing I would say about watching live sport, like climbing or like UFC, there is almost no better feeling than having a big group of friends.
Yeah.
And you witness this like moment in history, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's like a goal for football or like climbing, someone's on 1 second left and they've just topped the climb. If you're with all your friends and you just look at each other and like, what the fuck did I just see? Like that pure moment is
Incredible.
For sure.
Then I would come back to you and say, most people are just watching it on their phone on the way to like work.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I'm just like, it's not doing it for me.
Yeah.
But I remember being in a bar with the bunch of the Bushido guys watching UFC. And what knockout did I watch? Oh, I can't think. But I remember just being there with all of my friends and just watching UFC. And it's incredible. Like that feeling is just like, I remember what it was. It was Joanna and Zhang Weili. We watched that.
Okay.
And
Dude, I cried at that fight.
Dude,
I cried at that
that was
fight.
a wild fight.
Yeah.
And we were just like, I can't believe this is happening. Look at her fucking face.
Insane, right?
Yeah, insane. And we were like, I cannot believe this is still going on. She looks like an ogre, and she's still swinging.
Crazy.
It was wild.
Crazy. I think that was actually one of the first UFC fights that I cried at.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I cried. I just thought like,
that's a hero.
she won the title for that fight or no? Yeah. It was like the first time a Chinese martial artist had won like a world title. And I don't know why I just sat there and I just didn't think I'm not a very emotional person.
No, me neither.
But just things like that hits my G-spot of emotions.
Yeah.
And I just sit there and just start crying and be like, I'm not even Chinese, but I'm so fucking proud of China right now.
Yeah.
I think there was a clip of like going to the UFC PI in China and everyone's going wild. And I get super pumped on that type of stuff. Just like people being proud of someone from like their country or like their fighter or their gym. I don't know, man. That's my G-spot, I think, of like, it gets
Loyalty gets me.
Yeah.
Like friendship and loyalty, fucking, that's my spot.
Sure.
Like when I watch that in movies and someone just sacrifices everything for their friend.
Sure.
And I'm like, fuck. And I'm trying not to cry. And I'm just like, I'm not a baby.
Yeah, you just...
It gets me. Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
It gets me.
Me and Sian watched Gladiator the other night.
Oh my fucking
She's
God.
never seen it before. And she didn't know what it was about. So we just watched the first scene where it's like, the Romans attacking the Germans. And Sian is like,
is it right?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like, is this another manly movie?
Yeah.
And then you could see as it progressed, he goes back and spoiler alert, he sees his family getting like crucified and shit. And then you see her be like, oh, this isn't just like...
No.
And then when it got to him first time in the ring and she's like, oh, Gladiator, that's what it's about. And then by the end of it, both of us were just like in tears.
Yeah.
And then just the bit where he like falls down and he's like in his own imagination going through like the field
the
of
grain.
wheat.
Yeah.
And just both of us just... There was a dream that was Rome. I just... that gets me.
Fuck. That gets me too.
Very, very hard.
Have you guys done Braveheart yet together?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
We need to do train spotting next because...
Oh, fucking yeah.
Dude, yeah. I think she's been to Scotland and she knows what it's about a lot, but I'm like, you need to watch a bit of like train spotting.
Yeah.
And these are things to understand.
It's wild. That's a wild movie. And I didn't get it until I watched it when I was an adult. And then I was like, oh, this is crazy.
Yeah, man. There's lots of power. Scotland in the 90s was the AIDS capital of the world.
What?
Yep. Because of all the heroin. Again, you watch train spotting, you understand, right? Yeah.
Huh, that
Crazy.
makes sense.
And it was only concentrated in this one place outside of Edinburgh.
Huh.
Yeah.
You know why we get along?
Why?
Rutgers, my university, was the STD capital of U.S. we ranked number one year. When I was there, we were number one in STDs.
Nice.
Per capita in our
You wear that badge with
yeah, and we were like, we're number one. We're number one in something.
Yeah. It's super good. Well, I don't know if that's super good, but yeah, interesting.
But it's just that we grew up with like what the rest of the world thinks is trashy.
Oh yeah.
Like everyone else is like, oh, they're just like trash or white trash or whatever kind of trash, Jersey. And we get kind of like pushed down by it. But I wear like a badge of honor. I'm like, dude, I love being from New Jersey.
Sure.
Like I grew up with these people. To this day, I think my taste in like women is kind of like New Jersey, like a little bit of a Jersey girl.
Sure, but it's like character, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
I'm
like
tough.
a girl that can be super sweet, but also punch your fucking lights out.
Correct.
Yeah. That's that's Scotland in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Right. Someone who's funny, but if you get on the bad side of them,
You're
then,
fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
exactly.
bet on a Jersey girl any day of the week, right? Like against anywhere, I'd just be like, yeah, she's from Jersey. She'll probably fucking kill you.
Yeah, dude,
You know, you
Snooki
don't know.
from Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
She was like 4'0" and
Yeah.
she beat the shit out of like half the people. Yeah.
There's something wrong with that though. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I get you. But respect.
yeah, respect.
I think like yeah, for me actually, because I never actually grew up in Scotland. So that introduction to those type of people on like a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Because I would always go and visit my family, so I didn't know what the characters.
Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Belgium. And
Okay.
I lived there for 8 years, and then I moved to London. Lived there for like 5 years.
So you're kind of like fancy.
I would say in London it was fancy, and
Yeah.
that was probably like the worst experience of my life. Like
Okay.
that was horrific.
Yeah.
But Belgium, it was more so like super European, right? Like it's like you grow
Yeah.
up, you have loads of people around you with like from loads of different cultural backgrounds.
Yeah.
You don't really talk about like anything like, you know, classes or anything. It's very like European schooling where
Okay.
it's like super like kind of hippie a little bit.
I like
so
that.
it's really, honestly, Belgium is one of the favorite periods of memories because
Really?
yeah, because everyone lived in like farms and like, you know, you had lots of space. You had like, you go to school and it's like super chill.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, you get to learn about loads of different cultures. But then going from that to like outside London,
Yeah.
where it was all about like how much money you made. It was
Yeah.
all about what your social background was.
Yeah.
As a Scots person in that environment, I did not last very long.
No.
So
I
it
can
was
imagine.
all, yeah, so that was horrific. That was terrible. But then my point is like, so going from that, where there's so much emphasis over how much money you make and, you know, what class you come from, you go to Scotland where if you even say that, you just get laughed at. Same as like Jersey, right? I would assume like,
Yeah.
you say, oh, what, your dad is who? Or you,
gives a
you
shit?
make that much money? Yeah, they would just fucking laugh at you, right? Like they just laugh you out the corner.
Yeah.
So yeah, you then start to realize like, oh shit, like this is what, you know, the grittiness, like
Yeah.
the real characters are kind of like, again, I think that kind of bleeds, maybe similar to you, that kind of bleeds into what you're like as an adult, is
Yeah.
that you're more attracted and interested in people who are big characters in
Yeah.
your life, for good or for bad.
And not even that. Like I'm attracted to like people being kind of real. Like to me, money is almost kind of fake.
Oh, it is 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like beating me on a jujitsu mat is kind of real.
Yeah.
Like that's way more real than being like, oh, I made a ton of money. I'm like,
Sure.
I don't really care. But like if you can sub me on the mat,
tangible. Yeah, it's
that's
tangible.
real. To
Yeah.
me, that's more real.
Sure.
And it was the same thing in like clubbing, right? I remember going to the club and you can be, you know, CEO of XYZ company, but if you can't fucking dance right now in this, you're nothing.
Yeah.
You're zero.
Exactly.
I don't give a shit that you make so much
Yeah.
money. Like in this dance circle, this is all that matters right
Sure.
now. And that stuff gets me. Like whether it's archery or whatever, just again, you can be anybody outside of the archery range. But once you step in and you're hitting that bullseye, you're awesome.
Do you think we evolved with those type of like behavioral things,
Yeah.
where as soon as you get in like a group of people, because it's very different, like we talked about before, if you go clubbing you dance by yourself, but if you dance with like a group of people,
It's way more fun.
it's way more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Same as like archery, there's like that sort of sense of competition and
Yeah.
group when you go
Yeah.
into it, to see like, hey, none of this fucking matters. You either bring the food back or you fucking stay back.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because in like Homo sapien, Neanderthal times, if you were alone, you're dead. Like there's just, I guess our brains are evolved to be like, we need a group of people because that's why loneliness hurts so much. You know, feeling lonely sucks. And I remember that during like, you know, my first couple of years here where I wasn't making a lot of friends.
Sure.
And being lonely, I remember just crying and being like, what am I still doing in China? I can't speak the language. I don't have that many friends. I have all those friends back at home. What am I doing here?
What made you, what's the word I'm looking for, the phrase, what sense of fortitude did you get, or was there a moment or like a memory or a feeling that you drawed on that when you're like sitting there crying and you're like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
That you're like, I can do this. I can continue to do this. Was there something that you had? Like a sense of like, I've set myself a goal, I need to complete it. Or
Yeah.
was it you started making friends like, hey, it's not this bad? Was there a certain thing for
No,
it?
there were definitely goals. I
Okay.
was like, I have to make it here.
Sure.
Like, I'm not going back home.
Sure.
My dad's kind of big on like, not big, but like on Wall Street, he's kind of well known.
Sure.
I didn't want to live in his shadow.
Sure.
I just wanted to be me and not
Sure.
my dad's son.
Sure.
So I was like, I'm gonna be here.
Sure.
And China, where no one knows my dad, I'm gonna make it.
Sure.
So it just had to be tough and tough it out.
Fuck yeah, dude. That gets
Yeah.
me pumped,
Right?
right? That gets me super, super pumped. I completely get you. And I
Yeah.
think that something like that is so important that, because people will say like, oh yeah, pressure from parents or pressure from other people is not necessarily a good thing. But actually,
It's
it,
valuable.
yes, very, very valuable.
Yeah.
Because if you had such a comfortable life where everybody says, oh, what, you're going through some difficulty, it's okay, come back here.
Yeah.
Come back to where it's comfortable. You'd never be here. You'd never be in China. You never meet all these people. You would get to those stages where you start crying and you'd be like, all right, that's it. I'm out. I'm done because I can go back to this comfort.
Yeah.
So yeah, I respect that a lot. That's a super, super
But-
good thing.
Having that safety net allows you to go farther.
Sure.
Having that safety, and I always knew I could go home.
Sure.
I always knew that I would have a safety net if I went home. And it allowed me to take bigger risks, be stronger, because I knew that I wouldn't, there was no for sure rock bottom, I'd be dead,
Yeah.
right? I'm not going to starve. So there was always that out. And it allowed me to be like, okay, I have this out, but I'm going to see it to the end. And if I really need that out, I can grab it. But I'm going to go hard until I really need it.
Sure.
And I think that's personal. I think a lot of people will grab that out early, and that's just character, I think.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a very big common thing where, as you just said, you want to try and come out of the shadow of
Yeah.
one of your parents.
Yeah.
This is I think it's very, very common.
I think that's a guy thing. I don't think that's a girl thing. That's a very guy thing.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. But I would say that I have a younger sister and a younger
Okay,
brother.
me too.
And
I have a younger sister.
okay. And is she kind of similar to you?
Way
in the
more
sense-
successful than me. By far.
How do you define success?
Makes way more money than me.
Is she happy?
No. But she's
So,
right.
okay.
But she's
Monetarily, she's more-
monetarily in society, she's much more successful than I am.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
I know which one I would pick. I would
Oh yeah.
for
Me
sure
too.
pick the happy.
Yeah.
one, for
Yeah.
sure.
Me too.
But I mean, so is she very similar to you, where she maybe feels a bit of pressure to move outside of her dad's? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I would say the same. My younger sister, like she trained to be a lawyer
Okay. Oh, mine too.
in Edinburgh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she finished her university degree, and she was like, "Fuck this noise. This is terrible. I don't know why. I have to do like another 2 years of like studying
Yeah.
on top of this. Like, nah, I'm good, man. I want to go like experience life." And I think she might have been one of the first ones in the family to be
do it.
like,
Fuck it.
by Scotland, I'm gonna go like and travel and go and do stuff. And I remember at the time being like,
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I sit and I actually like look up to my sister a lot. I think
Yeah.
that she is one of the bravest people I know.
Yep.
Being like, having experienced this whole my own China adventure, being like, again, like you said, you're sitting crying by yourself.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
For her to do that by herself as one of the first people, I'm like, man,
Ballsy.
big respect.
Yeah.
Big respect. And after that, same as me and my brother did the same thing as her. We just
Yeah.
moved across the world and be like, hey, let's
Who's your brother now?
in Australia.
Okay.
In Australia. I'll tell you a funny story actually
Okay.
about my brother. So he's a chef.
Awesome.
Very, very
Awesome.
good. Like
Yeah.
really, he takes a long time to cook shit, but it was some of the tastiest food ever. And him and his girlfriend are moving around different cities in Australia.
Okay.
They've just arrived in Brisbane. They're trying to find a new flat, which is annoying.
Yeah.
They're trying to find a new job. And he got a message from a friend of a friend and said, hey, we're doing a pop-up at a food festival.
Cool.
Do you want to do it? And
Yeah.
he's like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, let's do it. Forgets about it. And then 2 days ago, this guy calls him up and says, all right, so this is a how do you say this? Medieval recreational festival where everyone has to dress up like legit, like 13th century with like the big hats, the stockings. And my brother's like, what have I done? It's like 30 degrees down there, and they have to wear like cotton stockings and everything, and like roasting suckling pig. It's this image of my brother, who's like quite a cool person, just having to wear all these fantasy stuff.
I love it.
I told him, you just have to go for it.
Yeah,
you just have to do it go there, you do the whole like, hello sir, and like speak to them like that, and I will never let you forget it, but you'll love it.
That's awesome. But like, cool. Have you done that shit? Have you done the white monkey shit in China?
Dude, when I first came to China, I was an English teacher. So it was an English, let me rephrase. It was not an English teacher in a sense what we understand in Shanghai.
Okay.
It was in Shenzhen, and it was for like an English, I won't name the name of the company, but it was for an English training center. Okay. Where essentially you were hired just on basis the color of your skin. Yeah. And you wouldn't really teach that much. You would just go and play with kids while all the parents watched you, videoed you, and you know they would take photos of you after the thing.
It's weird.
It was very, very weird, and I can understand why lots of people have now entered this bubble of comfort of what that is, right? Like they generally think they are celebrities. Yeah. Not so much in Shanghai. Shanghai is a lot more official, and you have really cool opportunities to work at international schools. And if you love to teach, like that's some of the best, way better than the opportunities in the West. Yep. But if you go to some of the other small cities, you're generally just dancing monkey. Yeah. Where all they care about is how much money you can make and not about the benefits that the kids can get, which I think is a very, very big problem.
That is a big problem. And I've always wondered, like, because your brother is basically doing the dancing monkey at this place. Sure. And we all have to do it. Sure. Like at some point in your life, you're the guy that's there that's just like, hey, look at me. Yeah. Hi, guys. Like, that shit. Yeah. It's
character building though, right?
It is character building because you're like, I just have to get through this.
Sure.
No, it's okay. Like, there are some people that will never do it. Like, they will be in their comfort zone forever. But just, you know, thickening up your skin and being like, this is what I'm doing today.
Did you ever used to work, sorry to interrupt you, did you ever used to work in the service industry, Arthur?
Yes, I was a swim coach. I don't know if that counts. But
yeah. So like front to front with customers, right? Yeah. Did you feel like there was a lot of dancing monkey stuff in that job?
No.
No?
Believe it or not, swim coach, I believe coaching is one of the, especially in the States, is one of the most meritocracy-based jobs ever, that I've ever done. Okay. I mean, investment banking's up there, but you are tested every week. And every week, if that child makes a personal best, you did your job. Okay. If those kids are all missing their personal best, you fucked up somewhere. Sure. And you're tested every weekend because they're competing every weekend. Right. So every weekend you go to the meet and, there's 1, 2, 3. Oh, they're all doing well. You're doing okay. Once like a couple of kids start missing their personal best or they're like slowing down, parents are on your case. Like, hey, what's up? Well, what's going on here? But as long as you keep making them improve and you keep pushing them, parents give you a lot of like leeway. They're just like, oh yeah, my kid's improving. Okay. Like, you're kind of borderline abuse here, but my kid's improving. I don't give a shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of rewarding as well, though.
It's awesome.
It's the highs and lows, right? Because if they do good, you're like, oh, fucking, I'm invested in these kids.
Not only that, you watch a kid come out of the pool and be like, yes!
Yeah, dude, like, that's what I'm saying. The pumped feeling, like, fuck, yeah, let's go.
That gets me. That's so addictive.
I love it too. I love it too. The same as in climbing, right? You see someone top a climb
my God.
after 5 times. Yeah. You've seen me in the gym. I go wild, nuts. Man. I go wild. I love that. Okay, dude, cool. You sold me on the coaching thing.
Yeah. That feeling is so good. And it's different in climbing. And I don't know if you've seen that. I have met people that are not happy when you top things. They get a little bit jealous. Yeah. They're not happy for you. Sure. I don't like those people. Like, I've seen those people at the gym.
I don't hang out with people like that.
Yeah. But like, I've seen those and I'm like, fucking, why is it not me? Like, it's not you because it's not you. It's not your time. But like, be happy for your friend that topped it. Like, You know, I don't want any of that energy around me.
I completely agree with you. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like climbing, because it should be such a self-competition
Yeah.
type of sport. It's not like jiu-jitsu, like you said before, whereas there's usually just one winner.
Yeah.
They've tapped you, and it's black or white, they've tapped you.
Yeah.
With climbing, it's you're against yourself, right?
Yeah.
Do you have the skill to get to the top of that? It's not someone else's skill that's
Yeah.
fighting against you, it's the wall.
Yeah.
Which is why I get so surprised when you see people that are like, nah, fuck this guy. He
Yeah.
did it in 3 moves, or like, he flashed this one. And of course, if you're climbing with all your buddies, it's fun to see like someone flash it and be like,
Yeah.
damn, I wish I could have done that. But it always comes from a place of like, I need to improve myself.
Correct.
It's not their problem. It's
My
something.
problem.
Not even a problem, but it's more like I want to improve to get to that stage.
Yeah. You need a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, some of the best things is like, for example, climbing with you and Echo, people who are like the same and just above what our climbing
Yeah.
level is, it makes you improve so much better.
Yeah.
Right? In any type of sport.
Yep.
Jiu-jitsu, you roll
Same.
with someone who's a bit higher than you, you're like, it motivates you to get
How do
better.
you do
right?
that? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Super, super good.
And everyone's got their own things that they're good at,
Mm.
you know? So you can't expect to climb. I can't expect to climb the same way Cian climbs.
Sure.
Right? She's taller than me.
I don't
she's
think
longer
anyone
than-
can, man. She's a
fucking
ridiculous
spider.
monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like everyone's got a different style. You got to do what fits your style.
Sure.
I'm not going to do jujitsu the way Dean does jujitsu.
Sure.
He's taller, stronger, just different body, right?
Sure.
But you got to figure out what works for you.
Sure.
And sometimes like, what he does just doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
So you got to figure it out. And that's the fun part. Like
Exactly.
just being like, oh, well, if I can't do that, how can I do it so that I can finish similarly? That's the fun part. That's the best part.
Yeah.
You know?
I get it's like a form of art, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has a different way of doing it and expressing themselves. So it's always cool seeing
Yeah.
how people express themselves on the wall, as you said.
And a lot of the times, I don't like getting a coach because they're just climbing it the way they climb it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think all the coaches, if they're fun some of them are fun to hang out with.
Of course.
But to have them as a coach and be like, hey, listen, I'm really struggling on this climb here. I can't make this specific move. And then they just jump from the first hold to the end hold and say, hey, look, it's easy.
Yeah.
That's insane to me. Like, that's not coaching.
It's useless to me.
So this leads me to my next question to you.
Yeah.
What, in your eyes, makes a good coach? Because why I ask you this is, I'm sure everybody knows as well. You, I would say, are one of the more interesting people, if not the most interesting people in Shanghai, because of, that's a very like subjective view, right? Because you dabble in so many hobbies
Yeah.
and so many activities, right? You can talk to anyone about the price of snow,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, it's just random
fun.
stuff. It's super, super fun.
Yeah.
So having seen all of these different like environments that people compete in or try to increase their skill, if you were a coach or if you would advise a coach, what characteristics?
Empathy. It's always empathy.
Okay, good
It's
one.
always being able to put yourself in that person's situation and really understanding that situation.
Sure.
Which is super hard.
Sure.
And I know a lot of coaches know that you have to empathize, but they don't know how to do it. But like really think about if my arms were half as long and I'm half as strong as I am now, can I still do this move?
Sure.
And a lot of people don't think that way. They can't put themselves in other people's shoes.
Agreed.
And that applies not just to coaching, a life.
Sure.
Right? Just being like, if I was in that person, what would I do?
Sure.
And having that imagination is not easy, because you have to experience a lot of things. And then being like, oh, well, I wasn't in that exact situation, but I was in similar. How do I kind of imagine myself, refigure this into their situation, and then what would I do? And that takes time. It's kind of painful. Like I'm teaching Echo swimming.
Yeah.
And the way I teach swimming is very different from other coaches.
Okay.
But I'm trying and struggling to coach Echo because I was never in her shoes. I was when I was like 6, right?
Her shoes being that she's not very experienced swimmer, right?
Correct.
And, okay.
And just being like, she's like, why can't I fucking float here? And I'm like, let me figure it out. And so I try to be like, if I didn't know how to float, how would I do this? And what does it feel like? because I haven't experienced that since I was
Sure.
like this big.
Sure.
So I'm trying to like do drills or do movements that she would do in that, and it's hard because I'm trying to erase 30 years of swimming
To put yourself
and
back
put
in
my
that position.
in that position and being like, how would I do this now? It's hard.
Sure.
You know, and Echo makes fun of me because she's like, why don't you understand me? And I'm like, I don't, because this is
trying to.
30 years and I'm
Sure.
really trying. But I know that this is actually good for me.
That's what I was just about to say. It
Yeah.
sounds like that's a learning curve and a learning experience in and of itself,
Yeah.
right?
It's completely different. And she's doing the drills and I'm on the other side of the pool being like, what if I did it this way? How does this feel if I do it this way? Can I compare this to rock climbing somehow, something that she's a little bit more familiar
Sure.
with? Like, what are the movements that are overlapping? And it's really hard and it's just draining, but valuable to me.
Sure.
Like, I'm going to use this eventually and I'm going to become a better coach. I'm going to become a better person. I'm going to become more empathetic just
Yeah.
by teaching this one thing.
Sure. I think that's the, like you said, when you first started by saying empathy is such a big part,
Yeah.
the first feeling is like, oh, that's easy to empathize with. But like you just said, when you actually go into the details and actually do it, you start realizing like, I actually need a lot of patience to do this as well,
Yeah.
right? And it's actually not as easy to empathize with someone who's not so good. Okay, maybe the first 2 times or 3 times they get it wrong, you're like, oh, I have some patience.
Yeah.
Then after like an hour, you're like, why the fuck are you not getting this?
Yeah.
Like, so
And you have to erase all of your wiring.
yes,
Right? You're wired this way. So this is super easy for you. But it's not easy for them. Like, you have to erase all of that and be like, well, what would I do? How would I feel right now if I just can't float this way? Right? Like, the water is not a second home for me. Gravity is different in the water. People don't realize how
Yeah.
different it is.
Sure.
You know? I'm always joking in the workshop chat that if it was jujitsu in the pool, I'd beat all of them. And they're all
I
like,
believe
oh, no way. Like, your jujitsu is nowhere near as good. Yeah, but it's gravity is
Yeah.
different. You don't understand how different that environment is. It's 3-dimensional,
yes,
right? You don't just look in jujitsu, you're on a flat plane.
Yeah.
I can literally fly in the pool.
Yeah.
Once you get into deep water, you have to look up and down
Yeah.
to like understand just the world is different.
And if people are not used to being in the pool as well,
Crazy.
exactly.
Yeah.
And if you like spend a lot of your time in the pool and working around, you're comfortable in that type
Yeah.
of environment, right?
Yeah. It's totally different. So teaching someone in an environment where gravity is different is so hard because they've done 30 years
Sure.
where it's earth gravity.
Sure.
And all of a sudden you're in water and you're like, oh, this is not.
Different sport,
Yeah.
man. Different ballgame.
Yeah. So it's just to empathize with that is very difficult.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that for having so many people as coaches, teachers, especially our friends,
Yeah.
like it just makes you realize how important it is
Yeah.
to find someone who's a good coach, who's a good teacher, whether that's anything, whether that's you want to take your kids to school, whether that's you want to learn a new hobby or something. Finding a good teacher is so fucking hard and so fucking valuable.
Yeah.
Like,
Because there's also a lot of bad ones out there.
dude,
Ton.
there is a bunch, and the sad thing is that they can ruin your whole experience on that one thing and have such a negative viewpoint on that sport, profession, industry, job,
Yeah.
that you don't want to do it anymore.
Yep.
Like I recently quit my job, and I think that for the longest time there was never someone to look up to and to say, like, this is someone I want to be like, this
Yeah.
is someone I can learn from.
Yeah.
It was always, myself, or it could be anybody else who's hungry to learn a certain sport, hungry to learn a certain hobby, but there's never anyone there that wants to reciprocate the same level of effort and the same level of passion to you to learn and like bring you up.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I just about quit that one of my old managers joined, and again, he was this guy, this
Yeah.
teacher who was like,
A mentor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he was a friend, a mentor, and he was fucking good at his job. He was one of the best. And I think that one of the only reasons I regret or I'm sad for leaving my old job is this one guy.
Yeah.
Because I know that in a different life, if I'd stayed there and I'd sacrificed everything to learn from this guy, I could be one of the best.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a similar mentor / friend. And when he left Shanghai, like, I cried.
Sure.
I was just like, I don't know.
Such a big impact in your life.
Because you can kind of see your future that way, and you don't feel so alone. You know, you're just like, oh, if I keep going down this path, I'll be something like that or something like that.
Yes.
However, my other side to this is, and I've said this story a couple times. I had a big crossroads 10 years ago.
Okay.
I was at an investment banking firm.
Okay.
And
based in Shanghai, right?
Based in Shanghai.
Okay.
And I had two opportunities. I could stay in finance and follow this one managing director, or I could go with this other managing director who was going to open a bar.
Okay.
And I looked at the both of them, and I was like, the finance guy is a lot more similar to me. I can see myself being like that. I can see myself, you know, we were very fashionable at the time. We were both in suits, and the other guy was kind of like frat boy-y, and I was just like, oh, we're not similar. And eventually I chose the less comfortable route and go and try to open a bar and a club. The lesson here is not, eventually I learned that the lesson isn't whether you want to be like this person or that person. The lesson's to be like, don't you want to be more like yourself?
Sure.
Like, you should not try to be like these people. The same way that you shouldn't watch jiu-jitsu and try to be like Gordon Ryan.
Sure.
You should look within and be like, what am I like? What do I want? And everyone looks outwards and no one looks inwards.
Sure.
But that was what I learned, you know, years later.
Sure.
That I wasn't going to, you know, do I take the hard route or the easy route, the safe route or the... Neither of those. You take the route that fits, that makes you more you.
Okay.
And I found that to be, in the end, that was the lesson. Not, you know, take the harder route, take the easier route, take the comfortable route.
So at that moment when you had the choice, what was it that made you choose
The bar?
The bar, yeah. If that guy...
It was exciting.
Okay, cool. That excitement then.
I
Okay,
was
that's a
just
good
like,
reason. That's a good reason.
That seemed fun.
Did you look at the investment banking option and think, what if I stay here and then I'm like 50 and I'm depressed and like I regret not taking this option? Was these the type of feelings you were going through, or was it?
A little bit. At the time I was like in my 20s. I just wanted to have more fun.
Okay.
And I was like, investment banking is going to kill me.
Sure.
Like, that's not fun.
Sure.
Clubbing sounds awesome. It's dangerous, but it's awesome. Yeah. And I think it went back to like, I had that safety net. Like in the end, I had a safety net where I was like, well, worst case scenario, I go home, right? That's not even a bet. That's not a worst. That's awesome. Just go home then. And I was like, let's take the risk. Let's go. You know, and we went. It was fun. It was the best 2.5 years of my life.
Good.
It was up there. Good. Yeah.
Again, it makes for good stories, right?
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Like clubbing 10 years ago in Shanghai, best clubbing in the world. I wouldn't
trade it
for anything.
Good.
Like, it was great.
This leads me on to my third and final question for you, Arthur.
Yeah.
One of the other reasons why you're one of my favorite people in Shanghai.
Yeah.
I'm not just bigging you up here. I'm trying to be very truthful on this, right? Is that I think you had a very similar experience to me in terms of professions and you know, quitting your job and things like this. And I think that of all the people I spoke to, you gave the best advice, because most people were saying, dude, you're 30 years old and you're quitting your job to do something not even something completely different, but you don't know what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's insane. What are you doing? But I remember talking to you, and you always gave very good advice and good
I don't remember
support.
what I said. What'd I say?
You just said along the lines of like, listen, if you really hate this job, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Correct.
If you leave your job, and again, you've been through this as well, it feels like you've trapped any profession that you're in, especially if you're getting, I want to say older, but you're no longer in your early 20s, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you're in your early 30s or you're just turning 30, like myself. you start to think, I know you don't want to, but you start to think, man, I'm getting old. I need
Yeah.
to start specializing a little bit. So the idea of quitting your profession and doing something completely different is kind of scary.
Very scary.
Very, very scary.
Yeah.
But I remember you always said, listen, it's scary when you first do it.
Yeah.
Wait a couple months, have some fun, and something will come to you. Something will come to you. So my question to you is, when you left your previous job, the marketing one,
Yeah.
First of all, what was the moment, or was there a bunch of moments that you said, hey, this is why I want to leave this?
Yeah.
And was it quite a painful or stressful period when you first quit? Or was it like oh, that's exactly what I needed. I made the right decision.
Where are you now?
Ooh, that's a good question. I am, funnily enough, as soon as I left, I immediately knew it was the right thing.
Yeah.
Immediately,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's like getting out of a toxic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I was more stressed in the company thinking that I was going to quit.
Yeah.
When I actually quit and stepped back, I was like, I was miserable.
Yep.
Like unhealthy, miserable. Nothing what I did was fun. I was doing it because of my loyalty to this guy, this manager who wasn't even in the China office.
Yeah.
And all the managers in the China office and myself did not have a good relationship. So
Yeah.
every day was just berating, insults. Like, I was the only foreigner there, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, who the fuck is this foreigner in this office? Like,
Yeah.
terrible. So as soon as I left, I was like, oh, this is life. This is my new life, and I love it.
You right now, and when you were working and now, when you were working, you looked 40.
I felt 40.
You looked 40. Like, you're barely 30.
Sure.
And you looked 40. And I was like,
Crazy,
what
right?
the fuck happened to Aidan? I remember looking at you and just, oh my God. Like,
Dude,
you were a mess.
I felt a mess.
Yeah.
Man. I felt a mess. And dude, that's what it is. We worked in the office 6:30, 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Back home and at the apartment 10 p.m. at night. Then you got meetings.
Yeah.
Because that's when Europe has meetings.
Yep.
And then America comes online. So it's just like, if you're in that industry, it's just non-stop 24/7. And again, even the weekends as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got you have to go to clients as well.
Yeah.
And I had all the Shandong clients. So they drink, man. They
Yeah.
fucking drink. So I just got pounded all the time. And man, I had bags under my eyes. I
Yeah.
was just, not
You were
good. It
not
was-
healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I don't mind not being healthy doing something I enjoy, right?
Okay.
It's my own personal thing, right?
Sure.
If I can sacrifice something of my life to do something I'm really fucking
Okay.
passionate about,
Yeah, I'm with you.
I would happily do that.
Yep.
But dude, I'm trading copper. I'm digging dirt from the ground and I'm selling it to someone.
Yeah.
Who wakes up in the morning and says,
I'm
it's
passionate
another
about
beautiful
this.
day to sell? Yeah, exactly. No one.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I've quit twice,
Okay.
and
Congratulations. I know
Yeah.
that's a big thing to like.
I let go of advertising agency life, and that was hard, because that was a really good paycheck, and it felt right. But I knew, like, I don't know about your parents, but Chinese parents always used the word "ren," which means hold on, just keep going, you'll be okay, but you just have to keep pushing forward.
Sure.
And a lot of these like business people will tell you the same thing. Just
yeah.
keep pushing.
Yeah.
But
It's just around the corner.
It's-
Like that next bonus will be
it's-
better. Yeah, exactly.
no, but like and sometimes it's wrong, and all of your friends are telling you just keep pushing.
Sure.
But you gotta listen to yourself. You know better than they know. In the same way as, in relationships. Some people are like, you're in a toxic, but is it toxic? Like, you know better than they know. They're looking at it from the outside, but how do you feel?
Sure.
And I think that's always more important.
100%.
Like, listen to your gut, but you have to have the habit of looking inside and talking to yourself, is this right? Is this right? Is this right?
Some people don't have that.
So a lot of people don't have
Yeah.
that. But you have to have that internal dialogue. And I always talk to myself, and it's crazy. Like, I'll sit there on that couch, and I'll just sit there and just be like, am I doing this right? Is this really what we're doing now? And you talk and hang out. Every morning I talk to myself for 10 minutes. And I'm just like, Is this right? Is this okay? And then I'll look at myself in the mirror. I'll be like, are we okay with each other? Yeah, we're okay. Then we're good.
So you saw gradually that you were like, oh shit, no, actually, I'm not
Yeah.
okay. This is not
Yeah.
okay. I need to change my type of. Was it more the lifestyle or was it more the industry?
It was the industry. The industry is wrong. Finance and marketing, everyone's a liar. You are surrounded by liars.
Yeah.
And they are weaving this story to you to be like, this is what we're doing. But no, they are straight up liars and cheaters, and they are going to take your money.
It is.
And that, I couldn't do that anymore. Like, I couldn't sit in front of clients and be like, this is a good product for you. This is what you want. You want to renew your subscription. And I was like, this isn't a good product. This isn't working.
Sure.
Like, this is not good for you. And I couldn't do it anymore. Like, you would go home and be like, what have I done today? I just lied to people.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
Dude, I promised to myself that I'd keep this podcast light, so I won't get into any
Okay.
personal stories
Yeah.
of those, that the industry I used to work
But-
in, but I completely understand what you mean.
Yeah.
And it also makes you realize that the people who are at the top of those type of industries, like, what sacrifices have they made
Yeah.
in terms of their own soul or like other people that have got them to that position? Because like you said, like, we both have been exposed to those type of
Yeah.
industries to a certain level, and we've seen it, and it's like, oh shit, that's the type of person that thrives in there. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I don't want any of that.
I don't
So
wanna
the people
become
at the
that
top.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the people at the top, they must be like real.
I don't know how they
sociopaths
sleep.
or- Yeah, I think just love of money, man. I think ego is one thing,
Mm-hmm.
love of money, and I guess competition leads into ego, wanting to be the best.
Yeah.
I've never met a CEO that is like, I really like this other company.
Yeah.
I think, we should like work together or we should try and learn something from them. It's always, fuck these guys.
Yeah.
They suck. We're the best. This is why we're the best. And it's just, it's just super, super, super tiring.
It's a little psychopathic.
You have to
It's you gotta have very little care for who works for you.
Sure.
And just like, I see too many companies that just want to drain people and
Yeah.
like use them, and I can't do that.
Yeah, I have one of the lessons I had leaving this company was sacrifice yourself for people, not for companies.
Yep.
Because companies are vapid entities that don't exist.
100%.
They don't exist.
Yep.
People the people that I actually are on my blacklist of people to look out for are the people that go out on their day-to-day basis and they wear the company logo polo shirts.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what are you
Why?
doing?
Yeah.
They care nothing about you. I think there's a famous quote from Death of a Salesman where guy gets fired and he's like, men are not just an orange peel that you can throw away.
Yeah, correct.
And I think that's very, very true. If you're a big company person and you're indoctrinated or brainwashed into this company loves me, they'll never fire me, they'll never move me away. Nah, man, you're only as useful as what you bring to that company.
100%. And I've already gotten to the place where, look at all of my rash guards. All of the rash guards that I wear to jiu-jitsu are not progress, very hard to submit. I don't support brands. I support my friend's gym.
Sure.
Like, my friend's gym has this rash guard. I'll support my friend's gym by buying their merch.
Yeah.
Because that's way better.
Dude.
Nike doesn't give a shit about me.
Yeah.
Well, why?
Yeah.
Like, my friend opened this place. I want to support them in any way I can. I'll buy their merch.
Sure.
I'd much rather do that than be like, look at my cool new Lululemon. Why?
Yeah, exactly.
What am I doing?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think that's such an important thing about building a community is supporting your friends, surrounding yourself that are like-minded, that challenge you, that make you want to get better, and see if your friend wants to do like a venture or take a risk.
Yeah.
Don't be the person that says, no, dude, don't take that risk. Be the person that says, dude, go for it. I support you.
Go for it. And if you fuck up, I'll do my best to help you out.
Yes.
I've got your back.
Yes.
Right? I think after this hour that we've been talking, like, the more I think about that safety net was so important to me.
Sure.
Like, my mom and dad, and I'm so lucky to have that, right? My mom and dad being like, the worst case scenario, you come home.
Sure.
And if you can support a friend, whoever, to be like, look, I got your back. If you want to do this, like
Sure.
Jawad's a great one.
Yes.
Like you opened your new gym, that's a huge venture. Like if I can help out, let me help out.
Dude.
Like come on my podcast, let's push it.
Yes.
Like let's do something where I can help out my friends. I'd much rather do that than just be like, don't do that, man. Like play it safe.
Yeah.
Why?
100%. I don't even do Muay Thai,
Yeah.
right? But I was the first one to join Jawad's gym. He said, hey, I'm opening a gym. Dude,
Let's go.
Take my money.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go on this adventure. I can't come to every class because
Yeah.
it's not like my passion, but let's fucking go. I believe in this person to do
Right.
it. So yeah,
Bingo.
I completely agree with you.
Because I think that's the right way to do it. Like, why are we supporting like Nike? Like Nike, Apple, Starbucks, like these brands, they almost kind of bother me because I'm just like, they don't give a shit about you.
Yeah.
Like, but your friends who actually need the money, and if you have the ability to help your friends, you should do it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And just encourage them, like you said, safety net, very important. Encourage them to take like risks or ideas that they want to have. And
Yeah.
hey, listen, I've been part of things of friends not working out, right?
Oh,
yeah,
man.
right?
All the time.
Sometimes it doesn't work out,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay. As long as it doesn't ruin relationships, then I'm all for it. I'm all
Yeah.
for it. Because again, some people, again, it's like what you said about the self-talking and stuff, is that when some people fuck up, they want to blame other people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that ego thing again, where it's
We
like,
did that.
listen, if you fuck up, be super objective about
Mm-hmm.
it. Be like, hey, this is why it fucked up. Some of it was my fault, some of it was other people's fault. But some people fuck up and be like, nah, man, it wasn't me, just the fucking times. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, there's this person that did this or this person that did that.
Have you done that before?
Dude, actually, this is me quitting this job
Yeah.
is the biggest risk I've ever done in my life. I'm usually not a risk taker. I leave the adrenaline to like jujitsu and like sports.
Yeah.
But when it comes to business, I'm very cold and very like that very step by step minimal risk type person. So in terms of ventures or trying something new and crazy, these last 2 months, the craziest I've ever done.
Yeah.
And
Fun?
I would insanely fun,
Yeah.
but also very stressful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've not got to that stage yet where I'm like, hey, I want to try this type of thing.
So we did it, right? We opened the club
Yes.
and dangerous. Like that's a big investment.
Sure.
And then
Where was the club in Shanghai?
on the Bund.
On the Bund.
Yeah.
You opened a club with your buddy on the Bund. This is amazing. This is amazing. What was the club called?
Horizon Club.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we had a restaurant on top called Jack London.
Okay.
And-
What year was this, if you don't mind me asking?
2011,
2011.
2012,
Okay.
something like that. And that was dangerous. But when I remember closing, and you ask anyone, why did we close? And there was all this cope. There's a ton of cope. Oh, because that club opened. We always blamed the environment. We could have changed.
Sure.
We could have done something else.
So
Like,
it closed. Sorry, it closed because of lack of funds. It wasn't
Yes.
as profitable. Okay.
it wasn't profitable. It was profitable in the beginning and then just
Died down.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
because we had carved out our target audience. The target audience was Hong Kong, Taiwan, ABC group,
Okay.
which
cool.
at the time was pretty big and
Yes.
had a good amount of money to spend. They wanted to have fun. And then another club opened with the same target audience.
Okay.
And all of a sudden we got cut in half.
Super close by you.
No,
Or
closer to Nanjing West.
okay.
And so all of a sudden we got cut in half. And you know what I noticed? I noticed it, and everyone kind of noticed it. They took the lower end of the target audience. So they took the people that were only buying a beer, 2 beers.
Sure.
And at the time we were like, let them have it. We don't need them. They're not the high rollers. But if you've ever been to a club, the high rollers aren't the people that make the club fun. The high rollers are the ones that watch people have fun
And try to look cool.
and try to look cool.
Yeah.
But if you take away all the people that are having fun, the high rollers are not going to come.
Agreed.
And so they took all the fun people, and then we were left with the rich people, but the rich people have other options.
Yeah.
So they're not going to stay. And then they want to go where the fun people are. And so that is eventually what happened.
Okay.
And we could not bring the fun people back. We could have, but we blamed the environment. We were like,
Okay.
we're coping with it. We were just like, we're the high end place. We got to stay high. We could have catered to them. We could have been like, look, come back. Like, would have been okay. But we blamed the environment and not ourselves. And we should have blamed ourselves.
That's a good life lesson to learn.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm glad I learned that early.
How long did the honeymoon period of that club
Oh man, the first year and a half was fucking
That
awesome.
year and a half?
Yeah.
That's a fucking fantastic honeymoon period.
great.
A year and a half of just how many days a week was it open?
It's every day. It was every day except Monday.
My God, how did you survive that?
Well, I don't drink, so
Which is, so I will I will rephrase that. How did you survive that without all the sleep and everything, right? Because that's an intense job, right? That's like every day apart from Monday. What were the hours?
So I did most of the office stuff. I did a lot more office stuff than like on-site stuff.
Okay, that's
and so
good.
I was on-site only when I had like a table of friends that were gonna come.
Okay.
And so I wasn't in the on-site that often, which is thank God. But I remember bringing my friends home, like or some of the investors home, like carrying my friends, putting them into bed and being like, dude, you can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
And they're like, I love this job. I'm like, how do you? This is terrible.
Yeah. But dude, a year and a
fun.
half of honeymoon period,
Fun.
that's super, super good.
So fun.
Very,
and
very
we had clubbing at that time was really incredible. Like all the clubs were kind of different. They all had different like groups of people. It wasn't just monotone.
Yes.
You know, and at the time, top 100 DJs were flying into China all the time. So I remember, I don't know if you remember Justice.
Of the French band?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Justice came and played for 100 people, maybe like 70 some people.
At your club?
No, and not at, just at a tiny little bar.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm watching Justice right
That's
now.
insane.
I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
And Dead Mouse was only maybe like 100 people. And it was just
Again, that's
tiny.
insane.
And I was just like, I only paid like $20 for this.
Yeah.
I'm watching Dead Mouse. It was
crazy.
Amazing time to be here.
Sure.
And clubbing at the time was just phenomenal. So everyone was out. Everyone was having a good time.
Sure.
It's just the best time to be alive.
So, what do you think the problem is with clubbing nowadays?
Now?
Yeah. Specifically in Shanghai. We're not going to cover a global market.
When was the last time you went clubbing?
I think last Halloween.
Yeah. Halloween's great. I love Halloween. I'll still go out clubbing Halloween.
I love clubbing.
Me too.
I am a big fan, like we said, of like house, techno, that sort of scene of clubbing.
Yeah.
But I have a very addictive personality, so once I start drinking on a night out, I just can't stop.
Yeah.
And I now value my next days more than I actually do drinking.
It's healthy.
Yeah, exactly. And also, why I asked you as well is that I very rarely have a good time going to a club because even if the music's good, it's either too busy or I can't find enough like-minded friends to go to a specific club.
Yeah.
So we would go, maybe like 2 friends, and then they'd go off and meet other friends, and then it's just you and 2 other people, and you're like this, right? Dancing like this. You don't have space to like, bust the classic moves.
Okay. So that's your fault.
Okay.
I think. To me, the best way to go clubbing is to do it the American or European way. Kind of, you make your own dance circle. You make your own fun. I don't believe that if you had a bad time at the club, it's either you didn't bring enough fun friends or you didn't bring up the mood with the people around you.
Sure.
I've been to a ton of clubs. I went clubbing alone for a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe like a couple months where I didn't have enough friends.
Sure.
I went alone and I would just dance all night, middle of the club by myself. I don't give a shit. Crazy moves. I mean, people get out of your way.
Let me pause for a second. What's your go-to dance move?
I do a weird shuffle.
Okay. Like the Dutch shuffle, like where you
Yeah,
shuffle like
a little
that?
bit.
Okay. Nice. I didn't know you felt like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it's just, I just enjoy dancing
Sure.
and just go vibe with the music. And if you vibe really with it, people are attracted to you. They'll come.
Sure.
And they'll be like, hey, like, what's your name? And you automatically attract people that want to be happy.
Sure. Are these usually like big events that you go to, or is it just like a day at a club?
Yeah, day at a club.
Okay, I think this is where I fuck up as well. Usually because I do not seek to go out to a club.
Yeah.
Usually, what the usual environment would be my friend who loves clubbing will invite me and say, hey, there's like a really big DJ coming here, or a really big, like a performance drag show, or something like that. And they'll say, come here, and we'll be like, oh yeah, that is a super big DJ, or that looks really fun.
Yeah.
You then go there only knowing the two of them, and they obviously have all their friends, but because there are so many people there,
Yeah.
that you can't. They'll go off, they'll go smoke a cigarette, and they'll take half an hour to go across like the club. You lose them,
know. Yep.
and then it's just you and my girlfriend just sitting there like, well, we didn't really come here to watch the DJ. We came here to have fun with our friends, but now
Yeah.
we've lost our friends. We can't get a drink. We can't dance because there's no room. Like, what do we do?
You got to make room. I always make room. I'll push people out of the way just to dance by myself.
Yeah.
And just be like, nope, this is my circle now.
You go hard.
Boom, go.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, and people are like, oh, gotta get out of his way. And then they break out their phones and film you.
Yeah.
And then they all kind of move and you make your own space.
You are there for the spectacle.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I will write that down for the next
But I'm telling you, you need to like, I don't believe in just going with your girlfriend. I think that's a mistake. You need your own crew if you're gonna go clubbing.
I don't have a crew though.
Yeah, you need a
I think
crew.
Sia, my girlfriend,
Yeah.
loves going out and dancing,
Yeah.
right? That's one of the only people that I can find who will go out and do it. Like, I kind of have this circle of friends now who are either very sporty, they don't
Yeah.
like going out. It's not about the drinking, it's just they don't really go out.
Yeah.
Or they go out every single day to a club and get super smashed, and then, like I said, they just disappear into the crowd. They're not
Yeah.
out there. They're kind of the cool kids in the VIP section,
Yeah.
looking down at the people just
not
buying
fun.
the one beers,
Yeah.
right? That's not the people you want to hang out with.
no.
You want to be on the floor with the
Yeah.
people drinking the beers.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. It's finding the right people to go out.
Yeah. And it,
like,
I have a lot of friends that say they have a good club family, you know, and those eventually die because everyone gets older, they get boyfriends, they get better jobs, and they just stop clubbing. But every once in a while, bring them all back and go to
Yes.
the club with each other. It's a ton of fun,
sure.
you know, and if you can get your vibe going, it's the best.
Yeah.
But I get made fun of for being like your friends, right? Echo will be like, I came with Arthur to the rock climbing gym, and then Arthur went over there and made new friends.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
but I just want to make new friends. Like,
Yeah, I get
I
it.
came with you, sure, but like, I'll bring those friends back. Like, then we can all hang
But
out.
that's the difference, though.
Yeah.
You'll bring the friends back.
Yeah.
We'll lose our friends and then not see them for like the next hour, and then
No.
you're just like,
Yeah.
why am I here?
No, I'm bringing new people over, and then now we have a bigger group, and we can do this.
Sure.
And if your friends are not like open to that, then that's not fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Because I've definitely had people that are like, Arthur, is just us hanging out not enough? I'm like, it's great, but like, I met these cool people, we vibed. There's potential here.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this. Why not?
Yeah, that says more. That says a lot about your character, which is similar to mine. It's just like the love of people, love meeting
Yeah.
new people, and wanting to share that with other people as well, right? Like it's like, I think that's an important thing of life. You can't
Yeah.
just be selfishly attached to this one person, right? You want to go out and meet other people and be like, all right, this person's an asshole,
Yeah.
but this person's cool. Hey, you want to come climb with us for the climbing example, right?
Yeah.
And again, I think we spoke about this before, but like the idea of like third spaces, like the areas where like you can actually go and do that, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to walk down the street and just be like, this person looks cool, let's just start talking to him. If you do that,
I've done that. But
you've done that.
yeah.
Okay. But where can you meet people like?
Not that many.
Not that many.
Yeah.
I think it has to be in these places like third spaces, right? Like clubs, bars, restaurants,
Yeah.
or climbing gyms, or like venues where you can go up and approach people in an acceptable manner.
But what I'm worried about is that everyone's kind of too into their phones now,
Sure.
where you always feel like you're interrupting someone.
Sure.
You know, so it becomes much harder now than like 10 years ago.
Sure.
10 years ago, you would go to the club and you can just talk to people. And now you have to get past them away from their phone, which is basically a drug.
Sure.
Right? They're addicted to this tablet here. So you have to get them away from their drug for a couple minutes, convince them that they are better, you are better than their phone,
Sure.
and then manage to be like, hey, look, like, let's keep hanging out and don't play on your phone anymore.
I think
That's
the hardest part
hard.
is a lot of people like that suck at talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
They honestly are like, if below white belts in conversations.
Yep.
Like they don't know how to talk. They don't know how to like converse normally as a human, whether that's because they're on their phone all the time or
Yeah.
whatever, or maybe they have some other problem. But dude, honestly, some people like that where you try and make a conversation to.
Hard.
It's so hard.
It's like pulling teeth.
Dude, it's so hard. They either say things that you're just like, you're socially challenged, like what's wrong with you,
Yeah.
or they just don't talk. And then you're like, oh shit, is there a problem? Like, do you not like me? It's like, no, I like you. You're
Yeah.
like, oh shit, this person just doesn't know how to converse
Yeah.
and like how to have fun.
That's the entire younger generation. I'm terrified for young people.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're gonna date. I don't know how they're gonna have relationships.
I know, right?
It's scary.
Dude, I just imagine hanging out with one of them. Actually, no, there's a few, there's a few younger generation people that I talk to that I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
You're empty.
What are you talking
Yeah.
about? Yeah.
But it's good to get them away from their phones.
Yes.
I really try, like, especially with younger climbers, younger jiu-jitsu people.
Sure.
Like, I try to hang out with them a little bit more, talk to them. And even if it's just about jiu-jitsu or just about climbing, like, you're already here, we all have the same interests, let's talk about this thing. And then slowly, like, open them up a little bit and try to get them to talk about other stuff. It's hard. A lot of people won't do it. But
Actually, having said that, a lot of the younger kids that I've met in climbing gyms, like,
are better.
in their teens, they're so good. They'll come up to me and see, and the group of people we are, and like, hey, like, can I practice my English? Or
Yeah.
can I, like, hey, can we climb with you guys? And I'm like, God damn, like,
That's
if this was in the West, like, people would just be on their phones and they just wouldn't talk to you. Like, hey, it's some older person, fuck this guy, fuck this girl.
Yeah.
Like, exactly. But honestly, some of the nicest people, younger generation people that
That's
have
awesome
made
to
me
hear.
think
There's hope.
we have a future, there's a hope,
There's hope.
is in climbing gyms in China.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And even better, they fucking rule, man. They just monkeys across the climbing wall. Like what, 13-year-old kids just destroying like V7s and shit. It's
They're awesome.
insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
But like, and this is the last topic I want to talk about. Like,
Sure.
Climbing now has gotten, I want to say, too popular. Like, I see
Remember we had this conversation.
too many climbing gyms now, and V4 just kind of, I think the last weekend is this weekend. Yeah, it was really sad. It was my favorite. It was my first climbing gym.
Sure.
And Echo, and I still tell people that Echo, chased after me. It was her, really going after me.
You guys met at V4.
We didn't really meet at V4, but like, I believe that,
You tell the grandkids that you met at V4, right?
And the competition's too high. That's where I'm going with this. I think there's too much competition, and it's going to end up being a price war and not a quality war. That's what I worry about.
Okay. I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
But I would say almost that with the price war is that people right now are happy enough to pay 130 RMB for a day pass. Banana, for example.
Sure.
Right? 130 RMB for a day pass.
Wild.
Is wild.
Yeah.
Very expensive. I went to Banana 3 times over the past week and a half. I couldn't move.
Ugh.
Everyone is there.
Yeah.
Everyone is there. So I think that at some stage, you're right. They have to decrease the prices.
Yeah.
But I think it's better to have, I don't know about V4, why they're closing down, or they just didn't have enough people or whatever. I don't know. But I think that it's better to have competitions so that gyms with niche services or like, points for people to go there. For example, Banana. It's very beginner friendly. The routes are kind of fun. They're kind of quirky. They're not so technical, right? And it's big.
It's big.
And they do, like, they're good on DMPing. They give you free bananas when you go there. That's to please the masses or whatever. And somewhere like that, if you're beginning to climb, is super nice.
Yep.
I give you an example. I don't know if you met Isabella, one of
Yes.
me and Isabella. Yeah. Me and Cian's good friends. Like, she's just started climbing. She went to Banana for the first time, and after a climb, she was like, I love this place.
Yeah.
Why? Because
It's
the V0s and not just easy, V1s and V0s, there's so many routes.
Yeah.
You go to other gyms that are smaller, for example, Neverest, which are better for, more advanced climbers like us, but they have like 3 routes
Yeah.
that she can climb. And then how long do we go climbing for usually?
2-3 hours.
2
at
3
least.
hours. What's she going to do for 2 or 3 hours?
Sit there.
Yeah.
And try to do a V2 maybe, and then
Exactly.
just keep falling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that for having these niches is very, very good.
Yeah.
And I think you can only have that with competition and only have that with increased popularity. Of course, the downside is, like you said, is you will have gyms that for whatever reason can't keep up with that, or maybe it's just luck. Maybe it's just the environment and they close down.
Yeah.
But dude, like I said, I get super pumped really easy. You've seen me climb, right?
Yeah.
Seeing like people who have never climbed before and then start climbing and they top their first thing.
Yeah.
I'm like taking my top off, like, let's go. That's so fucking cool. And you couldn't have that without increase of popularity of a sport.
I get that. Yeah.
So again, pros and cons. I agree with you. The cons kind of suck because you have these super cool establishments to close down. But for me, the pros definitely outweigh the cons.
I always worry that this is because we have like somewhat of a financial background and we really believe in capitalism. And the older I get, the less I believe in capitalism.
Sure, me too. Generally, me too.
My example that I use is Mobike, the bike sharing industry in China. I really believe that I wish they could have patented it and just do Mobike for 5 years. Let them push it out slowly instead of giving them 4 competitors right away.
Sure.
Because, as you know now, the streets are filled with bikes. And they are technically a hazard now.
Yes. Not technically, they are literally a hazard.
I think if Mobike had gone their original route, they had a thing where you could ring the bell on the bike and find that bike because they didn't think that people could find their bikes.
That's the thing.
Yeah. So that was part of their plan.
Sure.
Like you would tap on the app and it would ring the bell and you'd be like, oh, the bike is that way if you couldn't find it. Because they planned to not have too many bikes. But once you threw in all of these other competitors, they could only compete on more bikes.
Sure.
And couldn't work on the other technologies because you had too many bikes. Then
Sure.
if you would just let them build out that industry slow, really educate the community and be like, this is how you find your bike. This is how you park your bike. That slow roll instead of being like, let's just throw money at it, throw a bunch of competitors, see who lasts. That's the wrong way to do it.
Sure.
Like, I really wish if you put that into like a climbing perspective, if you just had like 4 or 5 gyms, max 4 gyms,
Sure.
and just been like, let's just work on building this community slowly and having everyone understand safety and good routes and what makes, this kind of route harder than that kind of route. Like if you would just slowly build up the education, it would be much better.
Sure.
And so I believe that everyone just throwing money in like as many gyms as possible is dangerous, and it worries me about the future of climbing because it's such a big high and it's going to come down.
Sure.
And when it comes down, it's going to be at the expense of a lot of the newbies that are getting hurt.
Yeah.
A lot of the gyms that threw a lot of money and it just didn't pan out.
Sure.
Like, I think the slow roll is always better.
My comment on that, because I know we've been talking for a while, right? I know you want to finish at some point.
Keep going.
I think that mentality and that whole logic of how these things operate, in the sense that you trust the gyms to
Do that.
slow and grow slowly to do that, I agree with. I think that is the way to do it. But you need to have the right person owning that gym, right?
Yeah.
And we both know, like, we've had this whole conversation, like, some people try shit and some people are full of egos. Some people just don't want to change. Some people don't do what you do and look themselves in the mirror and be like, hey, are we okay today? Are we doing the right thing? Some people don't do that. Some people literally just care about the money.
Yeah.
So what I get worried for is, in your situation, you have 5 gyms and there is no incentive for them to improve. No incentive for them to change the routes once a month.
Yeah.
Because no one else has an option to go to another gym, right? People will complain, but they'll be like, well, fuck you. There's only 5 gyms. We'll do what we want.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. In a perfect world,
Yeah.
you would only have 5 gyms, and you would have like the gods and goddesses of climbing owning these gyms.
Yeah.
So that, and again, it gets back to my first point we made in this podcast, is doing things for the beauty of art.
Yeah.
To put something out there for the benefit of all, where you can't really capitalize on it, right? You kind of have to just trust people giving you money because you have to survive.
Yeah.
But you give money to this boss because you're hoping that they will improve their gym for the benefit of all and to create like better art. To do that, to improve everyone, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we live in a world where people don't really fucking do that. People are lazy. And I really wish you could select these people who, I mean, we both know people like coaches or mentors who really love something so much that money is not the first thing. It's
Correct.
the art that is the first thing.
Correct.
You need to find these people and you need to give them a fucking presidential job, or you need to have them owning the gyms.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hard to find.
It is really hard because some of those people don't want to own the gyms. They just want to train and be happy here.
But then arguably, these are the ones that should be the ones doing it. Exactly.
That's what worries me.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's what we were talking about at the cafe. Like, if you do welfare, just some people just won't move. They'll just,
for sure.
if you can support everything by doing nothing, it's just going to be stagnant.
Sure.
And that's not what... And I know people are lazy, but I'm so optimistic about humans. I'm always like, maybe they're going to do the right thing. And I'm constantly being let down, but I still have that optimism. Like, maybe this is the right person. Maybe this is the right person.
Sure.
And it's hard because you're always being let down. But if you keep trying, like, you'll find the right person.
Sure. It gets back to your point, right? People in general should have the safety net.
Yeah.
But they also need to have the pressure to go out and, you know, get out from that shadow of your paternal, maternal figure, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's the government, whether that's whoever, right? But yeah, you have a safety net, which is benefits or some form of welfare.
Yeah.
But don't just lie on the safety net the whole life, and then you have kids and they also lie on the safety net.
Yeah.
Like, you need to have an incentive to be like, hey, whether that's opening climate gym or whatever, to be like, I will go out and try this. And if I fail, that's okay. I fall back on the safety net.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's a good place to stop.
Thank you very much for the time. Good conversation as always.
Thank you for coming. Like, I really appreciate it. I know you're kind of far away.
Dude, don't be silly. We've been talking about this for a while to do it. And every time you say it, I'm like, dude, I'm not a very interesting person. Like, I don't know what we could...
This was awesome.
Yeah, we just talk shit for like, I don't know how long we did that for, but yeah, we just talk shit. But yeah, thanks for having me. Very, very cool.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Do, 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 do.